May 4th, 2015, from the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. It was WWE Raw, and the main event of the evening was Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton. Earlier in the evening, they had teamed up versus New Day, the tag team champions, but after the match, the DOO Kane made this match with these two competitors, who are half of the event, that has now become a Fatal 4 at Payback, and the other two members being, of course, the champions Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, who was just added during this Raw. So at the beginning of the match, the Authority ended up coming out. Noble got on the mic and he said, "Yeah, I'm going to be the guest ring announcer, and Mercury's going to be the timekeeper, Kane's going to be the ring enforcer, and Rollins is going to be on commentary." So the Authority was out in full force there for this match. Roman Reigns was in control for a lot of the match. It was pretty good back and forth. But then eventually he went for the Superman punch. Randy Orton avoided it. He ended up slamming him. But then he did hit him with the Superman punch. But right after he hit him with the Superman punch, which ended up sending Randy Orton outside the ring, he was going to go after him. But Kane ended up grabbing him by the ankle. And then they ended up attacking Randy Orton on the other side of the ring. And then Roman Reigns bounced off the ropes, came back, and flew over the ropes, took out the whole Authority, which was on top of Randy Orton. But then Seth Rollins ended up grabbing Roman Reigns, throwing him into the ring post. But then the Authority ended up all teaming up on Randy Orton, throwing him in the ring. He was fighting him off for a little bit, but the numbers game just got to him as they overpowered him. But then Roman Reigns got in the ring and he was getting some offense, but then they overpowered him. It was just so many, the numbers. But then here comes Dean Ambrose, and the crowd was chanting for him like, "We want Dean, we want Dean." And then the human chainsaw comes running to the ring, the lunatic fringe, Dean Ambrose. So Ambrose came in, he cleared out J&J Kane, and then it was the four men who are going to be in the Fatal 4-Way at Payback. Seth Rollins, Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose. And so then, all four of them in the ring. Roman Reigns spears the champion, Seth Rollins, and he's like, "Yeah, woo!" And then Randy Orton, RKO out of nowhere to Roman Reigns. Dean Ambrose sees this and he's like, "What the heck? That's my former Shield brother." And he gets him with dirty deeds. And Dean Ambrose is standing tall while the rest, like Seth Rollins, is out of the ring, and Roman and Randy are on the mat. And Dean Ambrose is like, "Yeah," and looking like he's going to be the new champ, but it's still pretty early. Payback's a ways away, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But Dean Ambrose, he was the man who came out victorious on this evening, even though he wasn't even in the match. But he came out, looking strong. Came out there, saved Roman and Randy from the Authority, and then ended up, after Roman took out Seth and Randy took out Roman, Dean took out Randy. So that's how that went down. But it was interesting. It added another dynamic to this. Earlier I was thinking about this Fatal 4-Way got all the three members of the former Shield versus Randy Orton. And last year at Payback, it was the Shield versus Evolution. So wouldn't it be interesting if they ended up teaming up against Randy Orton? It turns out it's like the Shield reunion, Shield 2.0. But I don't know about that, though. That's kind of a stretch, although it'd be somewhat interesting to see that. And then maybe, they ride that out till SummerSlam, Seth versus Brock. But then at SummerSlam, Roman would turn against Seth and break the Shield back up. And he'd be like, and give the belt to Brock and be like, "Yeah, I want you. I don't want to take the belt from Seth. I want to take the belt from Brock." That's just one idea, it's just an idea. And I was talking about that in the earlier video. But then with this right here, seeing the way it went down at the end of Raw, it made me think, well, what if, though, it's like Dean and Roman versus, Randy and Seth, who used to be together as the Shield, or used to be together as the Authority, and Ambrose and Reigns, they never had issues, really. They were always pretty much cool for the most part, other than, sometimes you get in the ring, you gotta fight, but they've been pretty copacetic, whereas, Rollins and Orton never really got along even when they were on the same side. But is it possible that Randy Orton ends up going back to the Authority, maybe? I kind of don't think that's going to happen, but it's just an idea. It's something I was like, I'm interested. Maybe that'll kind of turn out that way. Just the way of, the way Dean reacted when Randy hit Roman, it was kind of like, hey, man. Or made it seem like that Dean and Roman are kind of on the same page, like they're kind of together. But Randy Orton, though, he's his own man. That's even the thing, too, is ultimately Dean is his own separate entity, even though he is cool with Roman. Which I'm kind of thinking that they might deal with that more leading up to Payback and kind of make it more solid, really drive home the fact that they're 4 single competitors and there isn't any, necessarily teams in this match. Even though it seems like as if Roman and Dean obviously have that natural, bond. They've tagged together. They used to be in the Shield together. But, of course, so was, Seth before he stabbed him in the back. But then, Randy and Seth, like I said, they have that Authority thing connection, but that's really doesn't really mean anything, especially, Randy Orton, he's the Apex Predator, the Viper. He doesn't really get along with people too well, and neither does Seth for that matter, really, other than J&J. But I thought it was a pretty good end to the show. Overall, it was a really good Raw. As always, this year has really been a really good year for wrestling, in my opinion. I thought this has been an awesome year. And another awesome, Raw right here. And I'm really looking forward to Payback. It's just even the fact that they made it a fatal 4-way now, and that just happened tonight on Raw earlier when Dean beat Seth, that is just friggin' sweet. That makes me all the more excited. I was already looking forward to the triple threat. Now it's a fatal 4-way with Dean. Oh, man. Couldn't be more hyped up for it. And it'll actually deliver. That's one thing is, you see a lot of times in sports, they hype things up and it don't never deliver. Or very rarely. But in wrestling actually delivers. Once in a while you have your disappointment, but they're few and far between, and they always come right back and deliver. That's for damn sure. Not like this past weekend with that crap-ass bullshit of Pacquiao and Mayweather. That didn't deliver, but Payback is going to be way better than that. And I'll tell you what, it's not going to get anywhere near the attention. They want to pay all that attention to that fixed ass boxing match that was so fixed and so fake. They knew going in they were just going to dance around. Mayweather knew that Pacquiao was injured. We didn't know that he was injured going into the match until now all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, he was injured. His shoulder was injured. Mayweather knew. That's why there's this thing that it even goes more towards okay, they want to blame it on Pacquiao, and then they really want to blame it on him now. The shoulder thing is if his shoulder was that hurt, then why didn't Mayweather knock him out? Huh? He's going against a friggin' hurt opponent. He's weak as heck. But he knew that. And they didn't postpone it. No, they're like, yeah, let's just rip everybody off. We'll give him a whack fight. Who cares? We gonna get rich. Yeah. And so they just stole everyone's money. The whole thing was fixed. But you know what? Wrestling, though, they will give you a real fucking show, entertainment, something worth your money, worth your while, and for a fraction of the price. Only $9.99 versus $100. And you actually get to see some freaking contact and physicality. Holy cow. Oh my goodness. What a concept. Anyway, I thought this is a good Raw. I thought this is a pretty good match. I liked how it ended. I like when it gets all crazy like that, especially on Raw. I think that's a good way to do it. I don't want to see that on the pay-per-view. I want to see an actual finish on the pay-per-view. But on Raw, it's good when they mix it up and have, the crazy ends with the attacks and stuff. So that was pretty cool. Let me know, though, what you think in the comments section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated.